So guys, this will be a continuation from where we stopped in the analysis. Okay, this will be the part two. That video was getting too long, so I need to cut it short. I don't like my videos being too long. All right, so I just decided to create a part two for it. Okay. Okay, so we'll be looking at the yen basket. Okay, like we've actually established that the yen basket is actually on a downward spray. Okay, on the monthly time frame is on a bearish trend. So what we're looking at is this, that price will actually react from this zone. From last week analysis, we're actually expecting price to react from this zone and then go to the downside. But what we are seeing now is that we are seeing some bullish evidence to the upside. Can we see this candle here? This candle is a dangerous candle. It's actually fighting this zone. Okay, this zone at the moment is the zone in control. This zone right here is the zone in control. However, price has actually been accumulating here. So we need to actually be very careful here. Yes, the monthly time frame is bearish, but we have to see what the candlesticks are going to be saying in this zone right here. Okay, so we have to stay sharp, stay attentive, and listen to what the market is saying. Okay, so we go to the weekly time frame. This way it gets more interesting. All right, now there are two things playing out here. We have a zone in control. All right, we have a zone in control. All right, that's the yen index. We have a zone in control. That's this monthly zone here, this green zone in control. This weekly zone is also in control. All right. So the weekly is also bearish. All right. The weekly is also bearish. However, we can see that prices has been actually playing around this area. Okay. So let's be careful. Let's act accordingly as price, show us its hand on what to do next. Okay. Now I want to bring your attention to something. Yes, we are supply and demand trader. But there's a video I actually posted. Okay, check the other videos where I was telling you, I was talking to traders, in that video about how you should pay attention to other style of trading. Okay, yes, you are supply and demand trader, but you have to look at some things, especially when they're screaming at you. You don't ignore them. If not, you're going to suffer. All right, this is what I'm trying to say. The monthly is bearish. The weekly is bearish. And this zone right here, which is a supply zone, is in control. Okay. However, this way we have to, bring in some intuition and some objectivity into trading. Okay. In the sense that this zone is in control, which we've established. Okay. Now look at what is going on the monthly time frame. Okay, look at what is going on the monthly time frame. Look at this right here. Okay, look at this. I want to pay attention to something. There's a head and shoulder pattern forming on the monthly time frame. Can we see this? This is a textbook head and shoulder pattern. A textbook head and shoulder. Can we see this head and shoulder pattern forming? All right. So now the thing is this: if you are stubborn following your strategy, which is a good thing, it's a good thing that you stick to your strategy. You are faithful and loyal to your strategy. However, pay attention to other participants in the market, like the retail traders. If you go ahead to ignore this pattern, you may end up hurting your equity curve. All right. So that's why I said this is a very tricky one. All right. We have to see what price is trying to do here. Okay. So if we go down the lane, all right, let's say we go to the daily time frame. There's something else I want you to see on the daily time frame. Okay, the daily time frame is bullish. Okay, the daily time frame is bullish. All right, so we have to be careful with this because can we see this trend line still very, very active? Okay, a bullish trend line that is active. So we have to be very careful here. And I also want to draw your attention to something else. On the daily, we have another head and shoulder forming. A bearish head and shoulder that is forming. So price may also want to do this. Okay, and then complete this and then go down. All right, but like I said, this is why I said that you have to pay attention to price. Okay, listen to what price is saying. Okay, so please let's remain flexible this week on the yen index. All right, let's remain flexible and see what price want to do. If I were you, all right, what I'm trying to do is that I'll probably be staying away from this pair, from the yen index. Okay, But I actually have a trade going on the NSD USD, which is a buy position because the handwriting on the wall there is very, very clear. So I just have to, there's not much contradiction about that. But I'm being very, very careful. All right. I'm limiting my risks on that trade because price is not giving us a clear sign of what it wants to do. It's giving us conflicting information because on the weekly, we have a head and shoulder pattern on the weekly to the upside. And then on the daily, we have a head and shoulder pattern to the downside. So let's be objective, all right? Let's be, let's keep an open mind as to what price is going to do. But I really appreciate if price can actually either go to the downside, all right, or come take out this high and then continue to the upside. So let's see what price have for us this week. Okay. So sometimes next week we are looking at the FOMC minutes coming out. So let's see if we are going to get something tangible that will move the market and create some volatility in the market so that the market can give us clearer directions. Okay, so on the 4 hour, we have this on the 4 hour. Okay, so we can see that the 4 hour is actually bullish also. Okay, the 4 hour failed to eliminate this zone right here. This zone right here. Failed to eliminate this zone. Okay. From last week, we're actually hoping that price will do this, break this demand, and then go to the downside. However, we never got that. Price pushed to the upside. Okay. So that's it for the yen basket. For the yen, that's the yen index. Now we go to NZD Okay. For those of us that have been following my mentees, they're actually in this trade at the moment. So we're actually looking for price to push to the upside here. And we started the analysis from the monthly time frame. Okay. We mentioned how this pin bar, okay, is a very powerful pin bar and we push price to the upside, okay, because we're actually trading with the momentum of the monthly time frame. This is a bullish momentum to the upside, and then this zone right here on the monthly is actually holding. Okay, so our bias is to the upside. However, on the weekly, the same thing. On the weekly, on the weekly we have a bullish momentum to the upside also, and then on the daily also we have a bullish momentum because price actually came here, took out this low. Price actually took out, actually we actually have a break of trend line here. Okay, so price actually on a bullish consolidation on the daily time frame. Okay, so we are long. So you can see that price already playing out. So we actually had our entry from this zone right here. Okay, we had our entry from this zone right here. So you can see price playing out. However, we are being very careful about this trade in the sense that the JPY index is not actually giving us a very clear sign as to where it wants to go. However, we are seeing some clear signs on the NZD USD because when I'm trading, I like to see the yen basket pairs and the yen index actually speaking the same language. All right, when they are trying to go a little bit away from each other, I become very skeptical, and then I try to limit my risks, okay, and pick my entries very, very carefully. Okay, so if you can see on the 4 hour, we can see that the dynamics on the 4 hour is actually shifting also to the upside. All right, for a while we were bearish on the 4 hour. So what we are looking to do is that if price comes and if price comes to, can we see what is happening here? I'm not going to give you details of what we are looking at here, but we're actually looking to add to this position. When we see some evidence on the 4 hour, we are looking to add to the position of this trade. Okay, so let's move to the next pair. Let's move to the next pair. Okay, the Euro card. So the Euro card, okay, what we have here is that the monthly is bullish. Okay, the monthly is bullish, but this zone right here is in control. The supply zone here, this supply zone is in control, and we can also see some bearish evidence that this candle here also reacting, some exhaustion candle reacting to this zone right here. So we're looking for price to actually push to this other range right here.
Okay, so on the weekly, I can't actually say much on the weekly here, but what we have on the weekly is that price is actually bullish on the weekly. Okay, can we see this? Price actually bullish on the weekly at this point right here. Price is bullish on the weekly, all right? So on the price comes to eliminate this zone right here, this is also, we have a zone right here, a weekly demand zone at this point right here, okay? At this point right here, we have a weekly demand zone here. So we are looking at price to trade all the way. Our our prediction is that price should trade all the way to this zone right here, okay? I'm looking for price to trade all the way to this zone right here. Either it can go up, go down, however, but in the interim, this way we're targeting this opening right here, okay? For price to trade into. We actually have an open trade on this, a sell trade on this pair. Okay, we're looking for price to trade to the downside. All right, so our entry was actually from the daily time frame where we actually took a position kind of trade. All right, we saw price doing this, we saw price moving in this wave, saw price moving in this wave right here, all the way up here, down. Okay, and we saw price coming to test our supply zone right here. So we're actually looking for price to trade all the way to the downside here. Okay, so we'll not be going below the daily time frame because we actually had our entry on the daily time frame to the downside. Okay, so if price should come and actually eliminate this zone, probably do this, go back into this range, give us some sell, some supply entries, that's supply zone, then we look for price to come into that zone and then we trade to the downside. Okay. However, so we're looking for sell position on this pair at the moment. We're actually in one, we're actually looking to scaling to selling more position on this pair. So we go to the pound NZD. All right. So the pound NZ is also having similar scenario as the euro card in the sense that the monthly time frame is bullish. However, this zone right here, as we have two zones marked out on the monthly, this zone here and then the whole of this zone right here. Okay, so however, we can see price actually reacting from this zone right here, exhaustion. This zone, the monthly zone is in control. So we'll be looking for bearish evidence to the downside. All right, we're looking for bearish evidence to the downside. So on the weekly, we can see price, we can see that we have a nested zone that's within the monthly zone, all right, a weekly zone nested within the monthly zone. And we can also see that this week, price is actually reacting from this zone right here. So short term, we're actually looking for price to trade to the next demand zone. That's the opposing demand zone right here. Either move upwards, go down. All right, but we can't see what price is going to do exactly. We're only reacting to what price is telling us to do at the moment. Okay, so we go down to the daily time frame. All right, so I forgot to mention, sorry, the weekly time frame is bullish. The weekly time frame is on a bullish trend. Okay, for us to get this trend to be bearish, first we have to come and eliminate this zone. That's this zone right here on the weekly time frame. All right, if this zone is eliminated, then we can officially say that the weekly is bearish. However, this zone right here was also eliminated, but I'm not too comfortable with this zone. This is actually a zone right here that's been eliminated, but however, I'm not too comfortable with that zone. I'll be more confident when this zone right here has been eliminated. Okay, all right. There'll be more confidence, there'll be more confirmation of a bearish trend if this zone right here is eliminated. However, this zone right here on the bearish on the weekly time frame has been eliminated. This zone right here. Okay, so please be aware that there's a difference between a weekly trend and also a zone on a particular time frame that is in control. For instance, this chart on this chart is a weekly chart. Okay, the weekly chart is bullish, all right, but this zone right here is in control. All right, you need to know the difference. Okay, those of us that are in the mentorship group know what we're talking about here. Okay, so how is it bullish? How do I know it is still bullish? This trend line is still intact. Okay, this trend line right here is still intact. Can we see this? Until that trend line is eliminated, we are still bullish on the weekly. However, like I said, this is a bullish consolidation as price is giving us some bearish sentiment to the downside on the weekly. Okay, so we go down to the daily. This is where we're actually looking to actually enter a sell position. All right. So the daily is actually bearish. Okay, the daily is bearish. All right, the daily is bearish. So we're looking for price to actually trade into this zone right here. Can we see this blue zone right here? We're looking for price to actually trade into this blue zone right here. Okay, that's this. We're expecting price to do this and then to the downside. Hope we get the idea. All right. So we're looking to actually enter this trade from the daily time frame. Okay, trade it all the way to this zone right here. All right. Before like I said, we take from this zone right here and then trade all the way down to this zone right here. Okay, so now on the 4 hour is actually bullish. Okay, the 4 hour is bullish. So my expectation is that price actually gonna trade its way on the 4 hour going upwards. Okay, and then probably take out this trend line, take out the trend line right here, give us a sell position, and then continue further to the downside. So like I said, here in swing for pace, we like to react to what price is telling us. Okay, whatever price tells us to do is what we are obeying. Okay, we are not going to just assume things from thin air. All right, so let's go to our summary sheet. We'll go to our summary sheet and see how we'll finalize the analysis of the coming week. Okay, so the DXY, this is the analysis. All right, take your time and go through this list. Okay, you can pause the video, look at the list very, very well. So EuroCAD, that's the monthly is let's look at it again. The EuroCAD. So we established that the monthly is long, all right. The monthly is long, okay, and then the weekly is also long, all right. And then we look at the daily. The daily also long, but we're actually looking for some sell evidence to the downside here. So we're actually going to certify if the daily is short by the elimination of this low right here. However, until that happens, we still maintain a long position on the daily time frame. If you're finding all this very, very confusing, then you have to take our mentorship course that will show you the difference between between a chart being trending and that's a chart in a trend and a zone in control. There are two different things. I don't want to mix this up. If not, you're going to mess up your analysis. Okay, so on the 4 hour, we are bearish on the 4 hour. Okay, so now we'll come down here. We say this is short. So here we only have the 4 hour to be short, and every other place we have it to be long, long, long. All right. So for the past NSD, remember we said it is gonna be long. The weekly, okay. The weekly is what? So the monthly is long, okay. The weekly also is long, okay, because we are still maintaining the bullish trend line. So that is the weekly is long, okay, and then we have the daily to also. So the daily is bearish because this trend line have been eliminated and this low here have been taken out also. So we're looking to have a sell position all the way from this point here. So we have here the daily to be short, and also the 4 hour. We have the 4 hour to be long. I recall that. All right. So looking at this, we have come to the 4 hour. So now the 4 hour is long. All right. So we're looking for, like I said, we're looking for price to trade into this zone right here before we take a sell. All right. So please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and don't forget to also like this video. Okay, we've come to the end of this weekly analysis outlook for what we are looking to have in the coming week. Please take your time to study this video. And like I always mention, please do your own due diligence. Don't take my word for it. All right, this is how you learn and this is how you grow. All right, this only serves as an inspiration to you. You can use it to check your analysis, to back test, and to see what price is gonna do during the week. Okay, so that when price is behaving in a particular pattern, and you look at this video, then you'll be able to get a better understanding of what we are trying to do right here in this weekly analysis outlook that we come to do over the weekends. All right. So I wish you the best of trading this week. All right. Let the pips be with us. Okay. And don't forget to always practice, do your back testing, and stay focused. All right. So see you some other time in some other video, and have a blessed week. Bye for now.